Hi guys, so today I will be showing you how I sew appliques onto my garments using invisible thread, which this one I actually got from Joann's. It's the smoke color. They also have it in a clear, but I use this one because I'm using a darker colored fabric. So we're going to use our invisible thread. We're also going to use our top stitch needles, and we're going to be using our free motion quilting foot to put these appliques onto this garment. What we want to make sure of when we are sewing these, especially using this invisible thread, because it is kind of like fishing line but a tad bit thinner. You want to make sure that your tension is set lower because it does stretch. You don't want it to stretch while it's going through your machine and being sewn onto your fabric because it can break. So I have my tension, it is set at a 2, and you can hardly see this, but this stuff literally looks like hair. I use it as well to when I buy appliques without, see, I can't even find it. When I buy appliques without the sequins and beads already on it, I use this thread, either in the white or this smoke color, to sew them on so that they are invisible. And if you look, I can show you guys some of the appliques I've already done. If you can see from this side, you can see where I went around using my free motion quilting foot. Well, you can't really see it, but you might be able to see that little section right there. Yep, you can see that. I went around and I actually free motioned this. And on the inside, you can see even better where I went around my appliques with my free motion foot. These ones were actually done using the regular needle on my machine, but I'm gonna be switching to the top stitch because it's much sharper, and it has a bigger eye for this to go through, because it won't, you know how a regular thread will kind of conform to the eye with its puffiness and stuff. This won't do that. It'll stay really, really thin and really, really hard to see. If you're using the clear one, I recommend using a Sharpie to like color the tip so that you can see it. But for this one, since I'm using this, I can actually see it going through the needle, and I can see it when it's going through my thread a little bit. So I am going to show you guys in a second how I set up my Gutermann invisible thread. And again, my sewing machine at the top is set to a 2 so that this thread does not get stretched out and break going through my machine. So I have threaded my machine with the invisible thread, and you can see it now. And yeah, it just sprung up. And I definitely recommend using a bobbin thread that matches the color of whatever you're sewing. That way, when you look at it from the other side, you don't see a black against the pink or a white against the blue. Definitely use a color that matches what you're doing. Now, as I said, I had already started sewing this on, so I'm just gonna find the point where I left off and start back off from there. There we go. It's hard to find it because, of course, this is invisible thread, so you want to just look for the lines that you sewed, because you can still see those. So we're gonna put our foot down, and as you know, this is a free motion quilted foot, so it won't actually go down per se into the fabric, but you will be able to sew with it anyway. Now I'm lucky because my brother's sewing machine, when I bought it, it came with one. A lot of people have been forced to purchase these separately. I actually have like 2 or 3 of them, so it's very nice. And when you are sewing your free motion, you always want to make sure that you go slow, of course, because you don't want to go too fast, and heat will definitely make this thread pop as well. So I'm actually gonna turn mine to about a 2 right now. I think 2 will be fine. And see if I can get this to where I can see it better. Let's see. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go very slow. And it's so much better with this top stitch needle because my other needle was having trouble actually going through the applique part because it's really, really thick cording and thread and all of that stuff. So we want to place both hands on our fabric. And since this is stretchy, I'm going to actually like put a little bit of tug to it. That way, when my garment it gets put on, it has a little bit of pull. I don't want you guys to see just. So we're going to get back to sewing. I wanted to put it on my tripod so you guys could somewhat maybe see. Oh, yeah, you can see great. Can't really see my foot because it's clear, but you can see what I'm doing for the most part. Which is what I was worried about. And as you can see, I'm stretching and pulling and just generally following the applique. Not too much, but enough to where I have some to cut off where it's not black. When your foot comes up, you don't want to let up your tension because that will cause your fabric to bounce to another place. And you don't want one long stitch. And yes, I do have pins in, but I'm taking them out as I go. See, really the only way that you can have these appliques on is by pinning it. And I start doing the outline before I go and do the middle, because as you can see, all of this is pinned down. That all needs to be sewn on. I do the outside first because that gets that secured, and then I go back in and you do the middle. That way everything else is done, and you just got to tack down those middle pieces, trim off the nylon, and you are done for the most part. So you just want to keep following that applique all the way around, and then you will start filling in the middle. And that is how I use invisible thread and free motion quilting to attach appliques to dresses.